My wife named our newborn after her ex, and then laughed in my face. "He's not yours," she said. "And I'm still taking half." That was the moment everything shifted. I ordered a DNA test, hired a lawyer, and prepared to walk away. 3 months later, she was homeless and begging me for help. I never looked back. Hello, Reddit. I+ here. My name's Eli Warren, 34 years old, a systems analyst and part-time app developer. Just 5 days ago, I thought I had become a father. My wife, Sabrina, 30, had just been released from the hospital after giving birth to the boy I believed was ours. Months earlier, we'd agreed on a name, Noah Warren. Simple, solid, and meaningful. That afternoon, I was at home going through hospital paperwork, discharge instructions, insurance forms, and the birth certificate, when my heart dropped. Name: Jason Carter Warren. Jason Carter. Not a typo. Not a clerical error. That was the full name of Sabrina's ex-boyfriend, the man she had sworn was ancient history. I walked into the bedroom, where she was propped up against pillows with the baby next to her, scrolling through her phone. "Why does the birth certificate say Jason Carter instead of Noah?" I asked. Without looking up, she said, "Changed my mind last minute. Jason sounds better." "Jason, as in your ex?" She finally glanced up, and in that moment, I saw her expression change. The warmth was gone, replaced by something cold and sharp. A smirk tugged at her lips. "You caught on faster than I thought," she said. "Yeah, he's Jason's. Not yours." The room felt like it was spinning. "I've been seeing him for almost a year," she continued. "It just happened. We didn't plan it. But when I found out I was pregnant, I hoped he'd come back. He didn't. So I stayed with you." She stared straight into my eyes. "What are you going to do? Divorce me? Go ahead. This is a no-fault state. I'll still get half the house, half your savings, and don't forget child support." Then she adjusted the baby's blanket and added, without a trace of emotion, "So you can stay and play daddy, or leave and pay. Either way, I win." I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even answer. I simply walked out. My first stop was a private lab for a paternity test. The second was Langford & Bray, a well-known law firm specializing in divorce and fraud cases. That same day, Cassandra Bray, the lead attorney, met with me. After hearing my story, she leaned forward and said, "You're dealing with paternity fraud. But she won't get to decide how this ends." She laid out the plan. Confirm paternity. Gather every financial record, especially proof of what I owned before we married. Remove myself from the situation quietly and legally. No warnings, no arguments. I followed every step. 3 days later, the results came in, 0% match. Not my child. For the next week, I documented everything. Screenshots of her confession, photographs of financial documents, and I moved valuable items and irreplaceable family heirlooms into storage. I signed a lease on a new apartment under a different name. When Sabrina went to her 6-week postpartum appointment with her mother, movers cleared the house. By 10 a.m., I was gone. I left the divorce papers on the kitchen counter with a single note, all communication through legal counsel. The storm started almost immediately. 23 missed calls, dozens of texts. "You can't do this. You're abandoning your family. You'll regret it." I ignored them all. Cassandra told me to keep every message. Texts, voicemails, emails. By day 3, her tone changed. "Fine. Be a coward. But you're still paying for both of us. That baby needs stability." The desperation in her voice didn't match her threats. The more she flailed, the more I knew I'd made the right choice. On the 5th day, she sent her sister Danielle to corner me in my office parking lot. "She made a mistake," Danielle said. "She thought you'd be the bigger person." "She tried to commit emotional and financial fraud," I replied. "That's not a mistake. That's a plan. She needs your help." She had it, until she replaced me. 6 weeks later, at the preliminary hearing, Sabrina looked exhausted, holding the baby. Her usual swagger was gone. Her attorney stumbled through objections, but Cassandra was ready. DNA results, proof that 85% of the house was purchased with money from my premarital business sale, and a voicemail where Sabrina told a friend, "If Eli leaves, I'll drag him until he's broke." The judge's face was unreadable. This court does not tolerate fraud disguised as family matters. He froze the marital assets, ordered Sabrina to vacate my home office, and set the final hearing for 45 days later. A month after that, she snapped. She drained nearly $4,000 from our frozen joint account and tried to show up at my apartment. The concierge called me. I recorded her pounding on my door, screaming with the baby crying in the background. "Open up, Eli. You can't just pretend we never existed." I stayed silent and called the building's private security. That video later became evidence for a protective order, which the judge approved. In court, Cassandra was surgical. Sabrina's financial disclosures were incomplete, she'd missed 2 deadlines, and she'd left voicemails begging my friends to intervene. The judge was unmoved. Final ruling. House to be sold, 80% of profits to me. No child support, DNA proved I wasn't the father. Sabrina to pay $9,000 toward my legal fees. Birth certificate to be amended. Protective order extended for 6 months. Sabrina broke down in tears. "But Your Honor, Jason won't help us. Eli's the only father this child has." The judge didn't blink. "Then you'll need to pursue paternity through Mr. Carter. This court does not assign financial responsibility based on convenience." 6 months later, I was grabbing coffee near my apartment when I saw her. Sabrina, gaunt, wearing oversized clothes, the baby in a sling. "Please, Eli," she said, stepping into my path. "I'm not asking to come back, just 5 minutes. I'm sleeping in my car." I said nothing. "Jason's ghosted me. Won't answer. My parents are moving out of state." "I have nowhere to go," she said quietly. Maybe you know someone who's hiring?" I met her gaze. "You threw away everything good you had, for a man who left you without a backward glance. And you laughed while you did it." Her voice wavered. "Please, he's just a baby." I stepped back. "And I'm supposed to pay for your lies? Don't walk away and leave me like this. I already did." The real revenge wasn't in the money I kept or the legal victory I won. It was standing there, calm and intact, while she stood in the ruin she had built herself. She once called me a loser. Now, I have my peace, my freedom, and a life rebuilt from the ground up. She has nothing. Sometimes revenge doesn't need fireworks. It's simply walking away and never looking back. 2 weeks after that encounter outside my apartment, I thought the chapter was finally closed. But some doors have a way of swinging open again, especially when desperation meets entitlement. It started with an odd email forwarded to my attorney, Cassandra. The subject line read, "Urgent DNA results enclosed, custody appeal pending." It was from Jason Carter's lawyer. Apparently, Sabrina had taken Jason to court in an attempt to force a paternity test and get support. The results? Negative. Jason wasn't the father either. Cassandra stared at the screen for a long moment. "Either she lied to both you and Jason, or there's a third man." My stomach sank. The betrayal I thought I'd fully processed cut even deeper. The entire foundation of her threats, manipulation, and false leverage, built on a child who had no legal father at all. 3 possible fathers, and not one of them matched. And she'd named the baby after the man who didn't even care enough to show up. 3 days later, another twist. No email this time. No text. A handwritten envelope slid under my apartment door in the middle of the night. No return name, no address. Inside was a 5-page letter from Sabrina. "I know you think I'm a monster. Maybe I am. I don't even know who the father is anymore. I was just trying to hold on to something. Anyone. You were steady, kind, reliable. I needed that. I just didn't want to give up the other things, too. I didn't think you'd ever leave me. You were so easy to control." She didn't bother denying it. "Maybe I pushed you because I wanted to see if you'd fight for me. But you didn't. You fought for yourself. I hate that I respect you now." The last line chilled me more than anything else she'd ever done. "If anything happens to me, I listed you as next of kin on Alexander's medical records." I had to put someone. Cassandra's reaction was immediate. "She's baiting you. This is emotional blackmail, an attempt to create a legal tie between you and that child." The next day, I filed an official notice of non-paternity and legal disassociation with the county. It ensured I could not be named as an emergency contact, guardian, or anything else without my consent. And that's when it escalated. 1 week later, at 2 a.m., my phone rang. It was the county hospital. "Mr. Warren, you're listed as the emergency contact for Sabrina Warren. She's been brought in unconscious. Suspected overdose. The child is currently with Child Protective Services." I lay in the dark for a moment, silent. Then I went, not for her, but for the child, and for closure. The hospital room reeked faintly of antiseptic. Sabrina was pale, hooked up to monitors, an oxygen tube in her nose. I didn't sit. I didn't touch her. A nurse glanced up. "Are you the father?" I shook my head. "No. Just someone she used to know." Down the hall, a CPS officer stood with a social worker beside a car seat. The baby, Alexander, was asleep, tiny fists curled against his face. I stared at him, searching for some feeling: anger, pity, resentment. What I felt instead was clarity. Within 48 hours, Cassandra had filed the necessary statements to make it official, final, and permanent. I had no legal or biological connection to the child, and there was no way for her to pull me back into the chaos she created. Sabrina survived. The doctor later said it might not have been a genuine suicide attempt, just another dramatic stunt to draw people in. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number. "You win. I'm nothing. Hope you're proud." Cassandra's advice was simple: don't respond. It's her last fishing line. The house eventually sold. My share funded the launch of my own cybersecurity firm. Now I consult internationally, speak at conferences, and, most importantly, live without looking over my shoulder. I've met someone new. Erica. She's nothing like Sabrina: steady, kind, genuine, no games. We're taking things slowly. I'm careful now, but not closed off. As for Sabrina, a mutual acquaintance in the legal field told me she bounced between shelters before leaving the state. The baby is now in foster care with a couple who plan to adopt. He'll get a new name and a clean start. He deserves that. The real tragedy isn't what she did to me, it's what she did to her own child. And the victory? It wasn't just that I kept my home, my savings, and my career. It was escaping her pull before she dragged me under. She once looked me in the eye and said, "Either way, I win." But she misunderstood the rules. You don't win by taking half of someone else's life. You win by building a life they never believed you could recover. And I did, stronger, wiser, free.